All right, so why don't we jump into the questions that we have for the PHA staff?
Okay.
Yeah, Angela and I will go back and forth in terms of the sections here. Would you state your name and your organization, please?
My name is Aisha Thompson, and I work for DC Housing Authority.
What is your current position and title?
My current title is I'm the Co-Deputy Director of the Housing Choice Voucher Program, and I oversee the all of housing programs, which will consist of the local program, the federal program, and our contracts department. Also, I do oversee our quality assurance department as well, and our ROTC department, which is relocation, orientation, training, and counseling division.
Thank you. How many mainstream vouchers have you been awarded up to date?
90. We received 69 initially and 21 for the CARES Act. So we have a total of 90 vouchers.
Okay. Is that the same number of vouchers currently being administered?
Currently, we have 35 being administered.
Okay. Okay. And out of the 35 are vouchers, are they all currently being utilized by voucher recipients?
Yes, the 35 that we have there, they've been all leased up, and we're paying on those.
Okay. And what is the level of effort in terms of estimated number of staff and labor hours to manage the voucher program?
As far as the staff, so we have a different department called ECOD. That's our eligibility department. So once the applications come through eligibility or through ECOD, they will process. We have a housing specialist that will process that eligibility packet. So we have the eligibility specialist. Then once the person is being deemed eligible for the program, then they will go through the orientation coordinator process, which is she will do the briefings. So once the person have been issued a voucher, then they'll go ahead and do the lease up once the client has located a unit. But just as with our special purpose voucher, some of our clients may need assistance in locating a unit. So that's where our ROTC department will come in. Or mobility specialists, we offer unit search, right? So if the clients request assistance in locating a unit, our mobility specialist will assist them and give them referrals. So in a sense, one person or one client will actually touch like 4 different, staff members, right? Which could, I would say, equate to maybe 2 hours, each, depending on the frequency, I would guess, as far as, especially when it comes to mobility, because if you give them a set of referrals and they go look at units and it's not what they like and they want more, of course, still, that mobility specialist will be working with that client until they actually find a unit that they like and get approved for. So I would say an average of maybe 8 to 10 hours and labor hours that we work with one client.
Okay. Do you know, in the case of Milton, if he utilized the referral or the housing location services that you guys provided?
No, he did not. He did not utilize the mobility specialist for his case. It looks like his how he got referred. You're the one who actually assisted him in locating the unit that he's in now.
Okay.
But we do have that services, especially once again for special purpose voucher clients.
Right. Okay. All right. So I'll let Angela take the rest of the questions on this list here.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ange.
Okay, Aisha. Did you guys target a specific preference with regards to the mainstream vouchers? There were the different levels where you could use someone that was homeless or people that were formerly homeless or in permanent supportive housing or transitioning out of like an institution. So were there any certain particular preferences that you did use as part of your application for the mainstream voucher program?
No, we don't. Even though we have a local preference, our local preference is homelessness. We did not use that for the mainstream voucher. But for any of our special purpose voucher, what we'll do, they don't have to qualify for the local preference. So, we will go by the social service provider, their waiting list. So we didn't select any of the local, any of those preferences. So anyone that they fit, that's how the referrals will came through.
Okay, great. How did you guys, how do you recognize that you're being successful in your administration of the Mainstream Voucher program? Are there any particular parameters or goals that you guys set up that you were monitoring to say whether it was a quantity? I think you said you're currently 35 out of 90 are being utilized. But are there any particular parameters that you set out for yourselves?
Yeah, for us, we were trying to get to at least 90% by the end of this fiscal year for us, which is September 30. So that would have been our goal. I know, of course, because of COVID, there is a little bit of delay, in transitioning to, teleworking, as well as, families searching, going out and searching for units and so forth. So there have been a little bit of delay, but our goal is to, in our initial 69, our goal was to make sure we made it at least by 50%, right, by the mid-year. So basically, we have partnered with outside agencies, right, to make sure that, we have a continuous flow of applications that are going through eligibility. So once again, hopefully we can meet our goal by the end of the fiscal year, and hopefully at least get 10 referrals per month, to kind of pretty much meet our goal towards the end of the year. So that's how we're kind of measuring it, to see how successful we can, with those that we have been awarded, to utilize all those vouchers.
Okay. All right. And is there any particular quantity, or can you, in terms of some of those other agencies that you are trying to work with, were there people, any new ones, or were they existing agencies you had already been that you just kind of re-tapped into? Can you describe that relationship?
Sure. So we've actually started earlier this year, I would say probably February or so, that we've kind of partnered with other agencies just to see how we can get some of our some referrals in, so we can increase the utilization on there. So so we do meet monthly with our partners. We go over utilization report, we go over any issues that they may be facing, or are troubleshooting maybe with documentation and so forth. I actually go through the process, so we can, the agency and the outside agency as well will know exactly where the clients are in the process. And then they'll let us know how many applications they expect to come through eligibility. So basically we have a very good relationship with our partners, and the monthly meetings do help. At least, they are aware of the process, and we know what's actually coming down the pipeline, right? So we'll also know how to allocate our staff as well. So for example, if somebody says, well, we have 25 coming through, we make sure that we do have that staff dedicated to process those cases that are going through eligibility.
Oh, that's great. Was there any necessity to kind of amend or implement any new policy and procedures with regards to administering the Mainstream Voucher program, as opposed to what you were already existing doing? Did anything new come up?
I think more what kind of pushed that is just that to assist us with, because we already have an infrastructure out there, right, in the city that will, assist, the homeless population, and of course, folks that were disabled. So why not tap into those, agencies as well? So if they already have the population and they can fit the mainstream criteria, because I know initially that was one of the struggles with agencies, is to, to fit the criteria, of course, and of course, disabled and homelessness, or even transitioning, out of other institutionalization places. So in that said, since the structure was already there, we just thought it would be best to partner with them, right? And to tap into their waiting lists, and to, keep things moving on our end, so we can actually utilize the vouchers. So
okay, that's a good big point in terms of recognizing something that needed to be overcome. Were there any other particular challenges that you can think of that you also had to face and kind of deal with, whether it was on your agency side or with the other agencies you're working with, that they needed to kind of come along? Similar to what you just speaking about, but were there any other issues?
No, I think maybe the only other challenge that I know for like the tenant may face is actually finding those units, especially, if they're disabled as well, and, they will need that assistance. So even working with the caseworkers, for example, or voucher briefings, right? We also invite our caseworkers to be a part of the voucher briefings, right? So they kind of know when the clients are, they've been issued their voucher, they're ready to search, so we keep them in the loop. So to also build that relationship with the caseworker, because, sometimes our clients are hard to reach, as well. We're trying to issue the vouchers, they may change their phone numbers, email address not working, so so that's the trying to build that relationship with the agencies and the caseworkers as well, just to make sure that, the client have that support system. So if something doesn't work, or, DC Housing, staff can actually, reach out to someone else, of course, with permission, of course, just to, to make sure that, the clients are aware that they're at the next step and nothing is being delayed. So the process, will go through smoothly. So.
Right. So it sounds like communication is a very critical part of the whole process working. Mm-hmm. And particularly, it sounds like you guys are very, got a lot of moving parts and a lot of relationships that you're managing. And so, but yeah, I can see that being a very big one to overcome and make sure that you have working smoothly. Okay, Jay, did you want to take the next set of questions there?
Sure. I'm curious to know, the types of partners that you engaged over the years and the new partners you brought on board. Are they primarily homeless shelters and disability service agencies? And if so, how did you manage those partnerships effectively? And was there some additional outreach that you had to do in the community as well? So just talk a little bit about the overall partnership establishment as well as the maintenance of the partnership, and what type of resources were leveraged out of these relationships.
Yeah, so basically for our partners, they're mainly disabled agencies as well as aging as well. So more aging and disability. And of course, some with other social services as well. They partner with other partners as well. So it's like, for example, if one agency may have outside providers that serve a certain population as well. So they have kind of a broader network, and so maybe one person may need the services of another agency. So in collaboration with all these outside agencies, and if they fit the criteria, then that's how we'll get the referrals. So it's just pretty much partnering with them. We've used, these agencies in other capacity as well. So of course we have knowledge of those agencies and what they could do and what the population that they serve as well. So basically, since the city has that infrastructure, especially with the homeless services, other agencies or other shelters services as well, and of course social service, reference agencies. So with all those different things going on, that structure is already here. It just took us to be able to tap into, those agencies and resources, and to be able to, communicate with them and partner with them and say, okay, this is what we need. This is what we have. We do have these vouchers. And if you do have the population, that can utilize these vouchers, and then that's how we work with those special purpose vouchers.
Okay. And were there any challenges that you experienced or had to overcome while building or maintaining these relationships, or everybody was pretty much on board, and as soon as you shared with the information, they were they were gung
Oh,
ho
they were all
about making
excited.
progress.
Oh yeah, no challenges there at all. The agencies were very happy that we do have, because housing in DC, especially the cost of housing too, and of course
Right.
is, with the shelter system, folks, as some folks don't feel comfortable there. They want to, get permanent housing, sooner rather than later. So the agencies that we've partnered with, they were all very happy and excited to come on board, to partner with us. To say, how many can we get? You know what I mean? Kind of,
Yeah.
And so basically, just going through the criteria with them, and build that relationship and that, partnership with them. It's, and even as I'm meeting with them on a monthly basis, it shows, how willing and their efforts that they're putting into this as well, right? So, and just to see that our families, especially for those who are homeless and disabled, that they can get housing as quickly as possible. So upfront, definitely no challenges there. They were willing, able, already have folks that could fit the criteria, and just need to vet them so they can go through our eligibility process.
Very nice. Can you talk a little bit about any internal resources that you were able to leverage to garner success in this particular specialty voucher program? I think you mentioned about the mobility search assistance. Were there any other type of existing resources within DC Housing that were leveraged to help minister this program?
Okay, so in RTC, what we also do, and of course, without our landlords, we don't have units, right? So we also have landlord briefings as well for existing and new landlords that are coming on board who would like to know about the program, and for the the population that we serve. So we do have landlord briefings. We have them 3 times a month, 2 times during the week. 2 Thursdays. So the first Thursday and the third Thursday of the month, and also a Saturday to accommodate, of course, working landlords. So we have that up front as well, for landlords to know the process. So when you tell them how the process works and what they're signing on to as well, it goes smoothly, so, they know what to expect when they submit a request for tenancy approval, right? They know what the process is, they know what the documentation that they need to submit. So when they're educated upfront, it also minimizes the delays, right? That would come with the lease up. So education, obviously, for the landlords and our clients, of course, for me, it's the key, right? Because of course, for new landlords, we have to establish them, make sure they're the owners and so forth, so that process may delay if the landlords are not aware what they need to submit with the packet, right? So, and how to submit it as well, because of course you have different other agencies that may have different ways of submitting. So, by educating the landlords up front, it totally minimizes the length of time our families takes to lease up. So that's one key. And of course, we talk about the inspections process, right? For them, just to let them know what inspectors may come out and look at, right? And so forth. So, and of course, and what it is, of course, during COVID as well, right? If we're doing virtual inspections, what is needed and so forth. So educating the landlords definitely is a key upfront. Speaking about our mobility piece, to assist any of our clients, and of course, those are special purpose voucher clients, we have meet and lease events, right? So we have meet and lease events 3 times a month as well. 2 during the weekdays and in the afternoon hours, and then we have 1 on Saturdays as well. Our meet and lease, we kicked off during COVID. We had it before pre-COVID in the office where landlords could come in, showcase their units. Clients will come in, pick and choose, they, see what landlords have available. Some landlords get a tenant right there and then, so basically, even though during COVID, we didn't stop, right? We're now doing this virtually, right? And it's been successful since we started this virtually. So landlords still on a virtual platform showcase their units, right? So landlords would register, some landlords with, units up to 200, so, maybe different, and we have different rooms. So if you, for example, you may have 4-bedroom units. You're in a 4-bedroom unit meet and lease event. If I have a 2-bedroom unit, I'm leading the 2-bedroom unit event. And landlords go in, showcase their units. All our clients who are actively searching with vouchers, right? They also are showcasing, come in the meet and lease events, you know, to see what's out there. Because, you know, during COVID, maybe some folks can't really see the unit as well or go in, or don't want to keep traveling around and looking at units. You know, they can see what the landlord has to offer during the meet and lease events. And you know, if they like the unit, they contact the landlord after, you know, after the meet and lease, and they will, you know, handle their lease up and, you know, process after that. But we do have that available, and that does help, especially for the heart to house folks. For example, if we're even mainstream and they need, you know, they're disabled and they need that unit, the accessible units, of course, if there's any that showcase, they will be able to meet with that landlord virtually after the fact, or call, or, you know, schedule to see the unit face to face if they want to do it in person. But that really helps most of our clients, especially during COVID, you know, to see units, right? And to select if they do like it. So that's been successful even during COVID, and it's been done virtually.
Just out of curiosity, what would be like the percentage of landlords who are, let's say, multifamily owners or you know, large apartment building owners versus just like a one-off, you know, a single family home, or you know, or condo units owners who want to participate in the mainstream program?
But since we are not, so they wouldn't know that they have the, you know, that the special purpose vouchers. So they wouldn't specifically know that this person has a special purpose voucher. So it's just across the board. So, you know, it's basically whichever unit the client wants and whatever features fit their needs. The landlords, you know, we have both, you know, landlords will multifamily units, and, you know, the small mom and pop landlords as well that participates in all our events. But it's still up to the, you know, to the client, and the landlords are not too specific about, you know, what the voucher type it is. If it's a special purpose vouchers versus
got it.
A regular voucher. Right. Yeah, because it could be VASH, it could be FUP, it could be any other for about special purpose vouchers. So they're not specifically, they don't know specifically what that special purpose voucher is.
Right. They just want the client. Right. Okay. Now, from the voucher holder perspective, do you see like they have a preference for, you know, like a single building, like Milton's clearly in a high-rise building with the rooftop, right? Or versus somewhere, you know, sort of in a maybe not so urban environment or apartment building environment, but in a single family home or something like that. Do you see such a preference from a voucher holder?
No, I think it's still is basically their needs, right? And within the district, you know, basically they can go to any one of our quarters in the district. So they, you know, is literally based on the area they choose and the type. But of course, it you know, folks with larger family household may want single family, you know, homes. So and that is, you know, we do have landlords, especially for the, I mean, I would call them heart to house, you know, if they need a larger unit. So of course we try to, you know, encourage landlords, especially to come to our landlord briefings as well, if they have larger units, right? Because within the city, those are the units that could be harder to locate. So, you know, especially if they have a larger household, they would need a larger unit. So we encourage our landlords to participate in our briefing and also to meet and lease. So our families will see what options are out there for larger units. But that's my, you know, that's the only thing that I may see is maybe, of course, the larger families may want a single family home because you may not find a 4 or 5 bedroom apartment or a condo, but, you know, the single family homes may fit their needs. So once again, it's up to the family, their choices, you know, where they want to go and what structure they decide to lease up in.
Okay.
Can I ask a question real quick, just to interject a question? is there any, do you have any statistics on around the percentage out of, like, if you are looking at your whole pool of applicants, are there a certain percentage that are more where you have a disabled person with a family versus the percentage of those that are just single and maybe looking for those single type units, wherever they may be? But is there, because it's been interesting with some of these interviews in terms of, it seems like we hear a lot about the single person that's disabled, but not necessarily what percentage there is of maybe disabled with family.
Mm-hmm. No, upfront, I don't even know the percentage upfront. But it would be good for me to look back and see if we do have that information based on those who currently have the mainstream voucher to see what the percentage looks like.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's one of the great things I think about the mainstream program, that it is focused on those that are disabled, but then maybe there's that other level there of disabled with family that we might, I don't know if we're even.
Yeah, that's an untapped category.
Mm-hmm.
Right, right.
Okay, I'm sorry, Jay, I just wanted to ask
No,
that.
no, that's a good good question to ask, Angie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we just talked about some of these, you know, effective ways to help mainstream applicants to successfully find housing. How about practices that you found to be effective to help them maintain their housing stability? Can you talk a little bit about, you know, some of the supportive services that they may be receiving, and how you all play a role in terms of making sure that once they get the housing, you know, they maintain it and be able to stay there for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's still building that relationship, or continue to have that relationship with our partners even after lease up, right? Because of course, you know, even if the family eventually wants to transfer, you know, to another unit, maybe after a year or so, they still will reach out to their caseworkers, and their caseworkers are still working with us on, you know, new folks that are coming onto the program. So, you know, as Mental did mention that, you know, he has a caseworker. So more than likely, if that caseworker is still tied to the agency, you know, then if he has questions even about his housing, he will know that he needs to reach out to Mr. Queen, right? So even having that POC, right, or point of contact within DC Housing also helps. So with all our special purpose vouchers, we do have a point of contact in each department, right? So in eligibility, there is a point of contact there if there's any issues with anything coming through eligibility. For the orientation briefing, for them to be, you know, go through orientation and get a voucher, there is a point of contact for that step as well. There's also a point of contact, you know, in our mobility portion of it, if that, you know, if that request from the client that they need some assistance in searching for a unit, there is a POC there. And also with the LISA process, more than likely it's Mr. Queen for a special purpose voucher. So he's the POC, right, for that step. So each step of the way, there is a point of contact, but, you know, most of our special purpose voucher clients know who to reach out to housing, you know, if they have any issues with their housing and with any services that they may have, they would always, or need, they would always loop in their caseworker. And if internally we're trying to, you know, resolve any issues and we cannot get in contact with the client, we'll always reach out to the social, you know, the caseworker, because we still have that continuing relationship with our partners. Once again, on a monthly basis, all of us with all our special purpose vouchers, you know, we literally send emails back and forth. They know who to reach out to if there's anything pertaining to the client that they need assistance with.
Okay, that's very streamlined process you got there. Let's see. Are there any challenges that you've experienced or overcome around successfully identifying and leasing up program participants in the target groups?
I think I think we've pretty much overcome our challenges on the front end, of course, which is first to establish the partnership, of course, with the, you know, to get more folks that fit the criteria for Mainstream, especially coming from Mainstream, to come through, to be referred to us so we can go through eligibility. So that initially would have been, the hardest thing to overcome is to get, folks who fit into that, or the family that fits into that criteria. So that we've kind of ironed out right now. And then the other piece of it would have been the, especially since COVID hit, just to make sure folks, even if they don't have the technology, right, to even do the briefing virtually. What DC Housing has done as well, we now have a customer solution center that folks who don't have that technology, like a cell phone, a tablet, or a laptop, they could still come in, make an appointment to come in to the customer solution center, where, or staff, obviously we're still teleworking, but our staff will still, brief that person virtually, but the client will have access to a computer. So they can sit there in their own pod and, have that one-on-one with, who they need to talk to, maybe their housing specialist, go through a voucher briefing. So we have, they've done a wonderful job of of building out a customer solution center, so folks can still have that flexibility if they would like to come in and speak to someone if they don't have the technology to do so. So that was important.
Is there more than just one centers that you're talking about? Are there multiple centers all throughout the different quadrants of the city?
Oh no, so we have our main headquarters, but the Customer Solution Center, we have several, different kiosks where, we can schedule folks for appointments when they come in. So, once again, so it's at our main center. That's where it's located, but there are several cases that if a client would like to come in still, to be, to be seen or have a conversation or have an appointment with a staff, they can do so, and they can still do that technically virtually, but they're in their own space while they're talking to the staff.
That's actually very unique that you guys are making technology, platforms available for folks that just don't have the means or access to a computer, to web conferencing. So that's a great one. We're gonna definitely emphasize and highlight in our reporting. Are there anything else you would like to add? Or Angela, do you have any other questions or clarifying questions for Aisha?
Yeah, I have a couple. One is, I've been in HUD a long time, but your acronyms are just like, I'm loving them. Meet and lease, customer solutions. I mean, this is just like awesome. I said, okay, I need a new book and ledger here to keep track. But it tells me that you guys have just totally focused in on what is working, and then it's kind of taken it on and made it really special. So I think that's just really great. But with regards to that, the around the meet and lease, did you find, or is there any mechanisms that you're able to articulate to potential landlords of how this meet and lease process works for them? I mean, is that something that you do use as an engagement to get more landlords involved? And second question is, do those landlords, or do you have any statistics on whether their vacancy loss is lowered? And that's again another a hook for them to say, well, why are you out there by yourself when we can bring the residents to you?
Yeah, and I'll just use an example. Like there's we had one landlord who had larger units, right? It was hard to fill those large units. Maybe clients just didn't know about them, or where they were located and so forth. So, we ensure that whichever landlord, reaches out to us to say, oh, we have units available, how can you assess? To say, oh, we have meet and lease, meet and lease events. So they will definitely register. We do have that information on our landlord portal, right? So, so landlords do know that the meet and lease events do exist. We do send a blast email out as well to all our landlords for these events as well. So we do a lot of marketing to let the landlords know that we have, these events going on, not because we're not in the office, because I know they were used to, going on to 1133, to do the meet and lease events, twice a month, but it never stopped for us. We had to figure out how to, because people are still moving, whether it was COVID or not, whether, because it could be because of an HQS move or, or emergency, by whatever the case could be, right? We still have to be able to, be flexible as an agency to still serve our clients, right? And once again, for me, and for us too, without landlords, without units, and without we knowing that they're even available, we can't house our families. So we definitely engage with them. We do have as I said, we do have our liaison as well, for any external, landlord groups that meet. We also have a DCHA representative, which is I have two then that actually attend several meetings with other partners, right, to share information on the agency of what we what we have going on. So or if they have any issues with our process being virtually, because I guess once again for me, educating the landlords on the process, right, whether or not we're in the office or we're working virtually, the process still goes on, but it may have tweaked a bit because now we're virtual, but this is what you need to do. So educating them and definitely being transparent, this, makes things a lot easier and the process to be more, streamlined. And then, clients or tenants will be happy, our landlords will be happy. So,
Right.
we do a lot of marketing, and the landlords with larger units, are happy to even, have that, I would say like a meet and lease event just for the larger group, because, so, and then only, of course, the families with that bedroom size only got that invite, because we make sure we send out the invites. We target our marketing too, for example, if folks have different bedroom sizes on their vouchers, you're going to get that meet and lease event invite for that voucher size, right? So for if it's a five or six bedroom voucher family, they're going to get that event for those landlords who only have larger units. So it gives them awareness that, oh, these units do exist, they are available now, ready to rent. The landlords are familiar with the program rules and guidelines on our sub-market rents. So they're also used to our process because they've been to our landlord briefing. So it's a circle, so everything should fit, or puzzle, everything should fit together, and everybody should work together and the pieces should fit. So we should have a seamless process.
Sounds like you have a really good process going.
Yeah, I was just gonna say there's a lot of intentional pre-screening and preparation involved. And so when the opportunity comes around, that's when exactly like preparation meets opportunity equals success. So you guys lay down the foundation, to be able to receive these mainstream vouchers. And it sounds seamless, but there's kudos to you all for having the forethought of laying down the foundation and having a fine-tuned process to be able to minister these vouchers in an effective manner. So I don't have any other questions. Angela, do you have any other questions?
I don't. This was just awesome to learn about the operation there.
Yeah, Aisha, any other parting words for us? Anything else you would like to add?
No, I'm gonna say I'm grateful for the opportunity.
It's great for us to learn from you. Yeah.
Just we're happy that we have the Mainstream Vouchers. We'll do our best to do a lot of outreach or any more partnerships that we can we can make throughout this process. But hopefully the goals that we have outlined for ourselves and with our partners, for me, I believe that we'll be successful at doing it. We can house as many families that we can throughout this fiscal year, and to continue to house more families if we receive more vouchers. So. Absolutely.
I have no doubt you guys will reach new heights. Once we publish this on HUDexchange.com, we will let you know. We'll send out a link to you all so you can share within and within your staff there at DC Housing, as well as share the success with the partners that you engage with. I'm sure they will love to, see this information being made public.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you again.
All right, thank you so
All right.
much.
All right. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. Have a good one. All righty, you too.
Bye.
Bye.